Hi, I'm Aimee Benbow. I'm the Head of Nutrition at Viridian and I'm here today at Garden Organic. This is Chris Collins, the Head of Horticulture, and he's going to speak to us about growing in small spaces.
Certainly am, Aimee, and it is, you're right, people think of gardening maybe, you need massive expanses or huge garden. No, you can garden on a very, very small scale and you can make it diverse and mixed like this. So if you look at the plants we've got here, herbs, chives, lemon balm, we've also got food with a chili, and then some pollinators, some lobelias, some tagetes to keep the white fly off. So you can really mix it up only in just a small little trough like this. But there are some basic rules to it, of course, like all gardening. One is make sure your container's got drainage. Right, so nothing will, if water sits in it, everything will die. So you've got to make sure the water drains away. And as an organic gardener, the big one is making sure you use peat-free compost.
Great. And what about feeding? Do you need to do special feeding?
Certainly. What happens in a container is it's because you're on limited space. When you water it, nutrients wash through. It's called leaching, okay? So we need to supplement those nutrients. So the way to do that is, we talked about comfrey, didn't we? You've got comfrey pellets. They can scatter a few of those in there and they'll slow release. And also I like to liquid feed. So the comfrey juice, I like to spray the plants now and again or water them on, and that just gives them a real boost. But you need to supplement those nutrients because otherwise the soil will expire, become weaker and weaker basically.
And where can these be kept? Like just outside or on a window edge? Where would you recommend these kind of things can be grown?
Absolutely, window edge, absolutely perfect. Balcony, small patio, doorway, get it in where you can. I want to see more and more containers, and you've got to remember that. Now, say in a city like London, half the people living in London don't have open gardens because we all live in flats. So we need to garden in all the niches and crooks we can because you want to get that contact with nature, and container gardening is the perfect way to do that. And you can do it with recycled materials, peat-free compost, organic fertiliser, so you're hitting those organic messages at the same time. Well, that's the last of the composting, my peat-free compost.
So what are you going to plant first?
Well, I reckon I've got a real mixture here. So what I like to do is put what I call my dot plants in first, so the taller plants. So I reckon something like this lovely lavender. Just going to loose that off a bit. And that's just going to go right in the centre, okay? Because that'll be one of the taller plants. Now, these are all sunshine plants. Most of them are like sunny herb plants, bedding plants. But you can also do this shady with ferns and things like that, and hostas. So you can play around a little bit with it, anything's possible.
Can you mix and match sort of like herbs, cooking herbs with other herbs, or would you keep them separate?
No, I would actually go for that we're going for biodiversity in a trough, so we're going to try and mix it up as much as possible. So if I've got my lavender in there like that, then I've also got these lovely little basils. Be a little bit careful with these because they're quite delicate. So maybe I would put these in the corners at the front, okay, and then I can just graze these. It's literally, you know, if you're cooking or you're doing a salad, you can nip out.
And when you first put them in the soil, you're supposed to water them? I've heard that before, I don't know if...
I personally prefer, if I'm doing lots of planting, I'll have a bucket of water and I'll dip them. But these have all got quite a lot of moisture in, so I'm not too worried about it. If they were dry, I would certainly do that. I wouldn't, yeah. So they're not, basically, you don't want them stressing as they go in. Because I'm moving them, the plant's stressing. It's not a thing that happens to plants normally. So you need to try and do as much to counteract that really, okay? See a bit of colour, maybe, with the lobelias. Little workhorse of a plant. You can see how root bound that is. Okay, if I put that in like that, it's more than likely it'll just stay in its root bound position, and that means it dries out much quicker, you lose the plant much quicker. So if I just tease away like that, it just encourages it to move into its new home, so to speak, okay? Now I put comfrey pellet in here, so there's a very slow release organic fertiliser to get them all kicked off, okay, to get them all going. And I'm also a big believer, as you'll see, I'm a big balcony gardener, is I like to really fill the pot up, okay? Don't be shy with numbers. You can always thin them out again later, but I like to see a nice full container. Again, remember I was talking about covering the soil, making sure it's full. The plants are much happier in association than if they're spaced apart.
And would these like direct sunlight, or should they be kept in the shade? What kind of conditions?
These love sunny plants, these. So lobelia is what I call a summer bedding plant, so it loves that sunshine. The lavenders too, Mediterranean plants. But it doesn't mean to say you can't choose plants that would suit a shaded area. So maybe choose woodland plants or something like that. Something that that would get used to the shade. Ferns, hostas, rhodgersias. Done all Latin on you now, aren't I? So yeah, so that would be good. So there you've got some colour, you've got some herb, you've got some herbs. So we're going to throw a little curveball in here and have some edibles. So we are mixing it up. So there's a little chilli plant, very easy to grow in a container. Now I would also, one of the ways you can get success out of these is just to give them a liquid feed. So you can use comfrey, something like that. And all that, when I say liquid feeders, I mean I dilute some comfrey juice into a watering can or into a sprayer, and then I apply that, and that's kind of like a tonic, and that'll get them kicked off and started and nice and healthy. And I'll probably do that little and often through the season, to be honest with you.
Tell me a little bit more about the compost.
Well, this is, as an organic gardener, we're very strict about this. We like to use peat-free compost, and the reason for that simple is mining peat, you're removing a carbon sink. Actually, peat holds more carbon than a rainforest does. They're very incredibly important. So if we're digging it up, we're not letting that carbon then get released to the atmosphere. So we can, 20 years ago, to be fair, it was hard to get decent peat-free compost, but there's a lot of science put into it now, so you can get really good peat-free compost, and that's good for our planet, good for organic gardening. So I'm gonna put some chives in here. This is a really great plant for a container. Again, you can just come out and graze it. You're having a salad with your basil, come out, graze it, put it on. Lemon balm, we talked about that, didn't we, earlier? This is quite good. You see, this is a little trick as well. I'm gonna squeeze that pot, and you'll find a lot if you're buying plants. You see, that's really root bound. I won't do it now, but if I wanted, you can see that's 3 or 4 cuttings. I can actually pull that in 2, and you get 2 plants, 4 plants, okay? So that's kind of one way of doing it. I've got a smaller one than that down here. And again, that's a great little plant. It's got therapeutic qualities.
It has. You could pick the leaves out and maybe make some lemon balm tea.
Brilliant.
For bed.
So it's all functional. It's good to look at, and it's functional, okay? I will still put a couple of more things in here, I think. I'll have a little tagetes. These are quite good because they take the white fly away. Okay, you pop him at the back here, actually, next to my lavender. Okay, move that forward. And now, there's one golden rule I need to explain about doing this. Now I've put quite a few plants in, and that's firming. All plants, whether it's a seedling or a tree, needs consolidating. And that means you don't leave any air pockets in and around the plant roots. So I get my fingers like this, and I literally push that soil into place. Do you remember doing capillary action at school? And it's the movement of the water through the soil, and if you don't firm, then that can't happen and your plants will perish. So you just need to make sure end of your fingers get all the air pockets out, okay? Give that a tap. I've got a little bit more spaces. Maybe another lobelia, and we're nearly there. You can see I'm not shy about filling it out, okay?
So what herbs would you recommend that somebody uses that's first starting out?
Well, herbs is a good word because they're less likely to fail, basically. They're Mediterranean plants, they don't need lots and lots of water. They tend to grow in rocky outcrops in a natural environment. So to avoid failure at the beginning, when you're getting your confidence up, and gardening's all about confidence, maybe use a bit of origami, lemon balm, thyme, nice herbs to go into a trough like this.
Perfect. And not everyone's going to have sort of like a purpose-built window box. Is there ways that people can use things in their home already or recycle them?
You can use anything as a container as long as it's got drainage. So people use tin cans, colanders. You can use an old dustbin as long as I grow potatoes in an old dustbin. But the big rule is to make sure it can drain. Got to have holes in the bottom of it so the water can escape, otherwise it gets waterlogged. But pretty much anything makes a container. So if you're a recycler or an upcycler, as we like to call it now, fill your boots.
Perfect. And it doesn't necessarily need to be around the home. I guess, you know, businesses with small courtyard areas could potentially have organic plants growing around for them.
Definitely. So, I mean, why, you know, there's nothing better. If you look at a shop front and it's got a few window boxes in it and a few hanging baskets, that just looks like a better shop front, doesn't it? And I think you're being clever about it, it makes it look more welcoming. And also, if it's you're using herbs or therapeutic plants, it also introduces them to that environment as well.
Thank you, Chris. If you'd like to learn more about organic gardening, please head over to the Garden Organic website.